Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. And I want to say Shalom to Yaakov Nakwath out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This one's titled, Women Are Not to Be Teaching. Alright? Women are not to be teaching. And this is for, you young sisters in this truth. And if the very few, older ones that wake up as well, it's usually, not norm. All right. Old wine doesn't, dwell within new wine doesn't dwell within old bottles. All right. Can't put old wine in a new bottle, as the scriptures say. So, you women that are waking up, all right, regardless of age, mostly younger sisters, you're not to teach. Okay. You cannot teach. I know you see the men out there teaching. You are not to teach, all right? It's not that we're bullying you. It's not that, we this, that. No, it's scriptural, all right? You're not supposed to be teaching, all right? And I say this because I've seen women in droves now on YouTube, all right? Now, I didn't pull up her page or anything like that, but, one of those women talking about Yahushua and all that stuff, and Yah's a blessing, because they always use, a million different names. They'll say Yahweh, Yahushua, and a bunch of other ones to go with it, and they'll change up from Yah to Yahuwah to Yahweh, to not Yahweh, but they'll say Yah, Yahweh, and Yahuwah. They'll all interjectively, they'll just throw them around, and sometimes they'll even switch them up. So, they're all bugged out, all right, to begin with. And that's why they are teaching in the first place, because they're bugged out, because an orderly woman would know that her place is not to teach, okay? So, and it's just we have differences as male and females, man. There's certain things women do that us as men, we're not supposed to be doing, all right? We can't walk around with high heels and dresses, all right? We can't pray with our head covered, all right? We can't wear a hat, all right, when we're praying, all right? But women can, all right? We're just different individuals, all right? And, women are not to be teaching, though. That's the thing. Now, I mean, making videos online and stuff like that. Now, they're to teach, the younger women. All right, they can teach the younger women. All right, and when I say younger women, children, really. All right, but they're not to be in a church setting teaching. You're not supposed to be in a church setting to begin with teaching. And you're not to be on YouTube teaching, and you're not supposed to be on the highways and byways teaching as a woman either. Not that I've ever seen that, but who knows? That's something you'll probably see next with how disorderly this world is. Let me grab a drink. But yeah, man, you're not to be teaching. As a woman, you are not to be teaching, okay? So right off the bat, I want to get 1 Corinthians 14:34 and through 35. We're actually going to get 33. For verse 33, it says, For Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. Now, he's not the author of confusion, all right? A woman teaching, that's confusion, okay? That's confusion, all right? And a woman's not, first of all, she's the weaker vessel, all right? She's the weaker vessel, more prone to spiritual attack, all right, by demons, more likely to be persuaded, all right, into wicked doing, all right, whether by a person or by, demons, all right, within her mind. You got to go back to Eve, right? She was the one that was persuaded, all right? It wasn't Adam that was persuaded, all right? Now, Adam still went off because he basically gave in to the woman too easily, right? That's where he went off. But the woman was the one that was easily persuaded by the serpent, that old devil that's called the serpent, right? And she was persuaded, even though she knew it was wrong, even though she knew she shouldn't do it, she did it anyway because, these women are easily persuaded. All right, anybody that's tried to get a woman in bed will know that. No, I don't want to. Come on, okay, all right. Salakia, but they're not really. Their yeses aren't yeses and their no's aren't no's, right? That's how it is with these women. They're very easily persuaded, except when it's right in their mind. All right, then you cannot persuade them out of that mindset. It's confusion. So a woman, an individual like that cannot, teach. Okay, they can't teach. They're not in the mind, and they also don't make good leaders from that. And it doesn't mean that you don't do other things well, all right? Because women always take it as an ad hominem attack, like we're picking on them specifically or bullying them, and that's not the case. All right, that's not the case at all. All right, there's plenty of things that women are great at. Women are very creative beings. All right, they're very great at nurturing. All right, they're good at they're very sweet. They're the most they can be more compassionate than a man can. But there's just different things, different strokes for different folks. All right. Men and women are fundamentally different. All right, they're fundamentally different. Okay, sometimes you have women, and not all the case, but a lot of the time, women tend to be a little bit more responsible than men. All right, in a lot of ways. Okay, and that's another reason why we have women, is to be, kind of like a level. All right, to level head us, because men sometimes we jump too far into one side, and a woman say, well, no, you don't know, that's not what you should be doing. So what do you mean it's not what we should be doing? And then we step back and say, you're right, actually. Right, because sometimes we get too hot-headed, and that's another goal, the woman to calm us down, all right, and comfort us in our anger, all right, to not have us act a fool. But again, the use of women now is all messed up, to where now they encourage men and then to go do violence, and then get them and their man there shot up. All right, because the woman didn't want to he's making you look like a bitch, which makes me look like I'm some type of pussy. You better go do something about it, right? And then get your ass both shot up, right? When really a woman says, "But don't deal with him. Come on, let's go. Come on, he ain't worth your time. Come on." And he's like, "All right, yeah, right." And in turn, make it to where your ass don't get shot up, all right, or fought up, all right. Either way, right? It's not something you want. So, yeah, man. For 33, going back up to 33, 1 Corinthians, where were we at? 14, all right, and 33, it says, "For Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints." So the Lord's not the author of confusion. He's not going to make, a weaker vessel a teacher. All right, that's just not how it's going to work. And again, you women, don't take it as some type of attack personally. All right, you're beautiful, you're perfect. Well, I won't say you're perfect. You're perfect, and I won't even say you're perfect in things that in the perfect things that you've done, because none of us are perfect. All right, but you're good with the things that you're good at, just like men are good at the things we're good at. None of us are perfect, so I don't say you're perfect at one thing. All right, men aren't even perfect at one thing, but we're good at different things. All right, there's things that women are good at that we're not good at. There's things that we're good at that women are not good at. All right, for example, one of the things that men are better at is reasoning. Okay, women are more emotional, but with that emotional like behavior, all right, you compassion. You're more likely to be able to see eye to eye with someone sometimes. All right, so we each got our downsides and our upsides. Right. So don't take it as women ain't shit, because that's what you think. We're saying all these you women ain't shit. No, these women. When we say these women ain't shit, that means these women refers to who? When we say these men or these women, these men and these women refer to these women of the world. These men of the world. We're not referring to these men and women of the truth. All right, we would say brothers and sisters then. All right, or you brothers and sisters. When we say these women or these men, we say men or women regarding people on the outside. Okay, brothers and sisters are on the inside. All right, they've separated themselves from the world. They've come in, they put off the old man or woman and put on the new. All right, and they're actively in a progress of change. Okay. On the other hand, these women and these men are the ones that are out there not giving a shit. All right, acting a fool. All right, your trippy reds and sexy reds. Right. That's those men and women of the world. Them types. Right. So not that they have to be famous, but those type of people. All right, hood rats, hooligans. All right, degenerates. Okay. So in verse 34 here it says, "Let your women keep silence in the churches." Why? Well, we can't speak? No, you cannot. Let your woman keep silence in the churches. And another thing that you need to know is that essentially when you come on the when you come around the congregation, when you come around the comment board, the videos, that's essentially church. It's likened to a church, all right? Whether it's a live stream or a pre-recorded video, that comment board essentially, and the intermingling there is essentially church. That's why you see brothers putting up scriptures, all right, comments with scriptures in it, because it's essentially adding unto the what do they call them? The service, right? I hate to say it, but a service. It's still a service. We just don't use that term because, it's from the church, right? But when a service is in session, right, a live stream, we just call it a live stream. We don't call it a service. But it's the same thing like a church. They would call it a service. Would you go and interrupt during a service? No, you would not. So why do you interrupt during a live stream? All right? So wouldn't you be on your best behavior at a service? Yes, you would. So why aren't you on your best behavior at a live stream? Okay? Being behind that keyboard can fuck with a lot of people's minds, man. It can fuck with a lot of people's minds. But you're supposed to be being silent, okay, in the church, all right, as a woman. You're not supposed to be being, let's just read it. The scripture can explain it way better than I can. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And if they will learn anything, well, what if I have a question? And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church. All right? It is a shame for a woman to speak in the church. There you go. So, but what if our man ain't in the truth? Well, that you're kind of in a bad situation at that point. I would go and talk to the apostles about what you can and what you can't do. All right? Because really, your man is supposed to be teaching. All right? But if he has no, regard to the truth, I can't remember. Don't quote me on it. I think if you have a man that's in this truth, okay, you are not supposed to be watching other brothers' lessons. You're supposed to be watching your man's lesson. Okay? I know that for a fact. Okay? And unless that's on our discernment, all right, as men, all right. We may allow you to watch a video occasionally. We might see something and say, hey, go and watch this video. That's something that we're allowed to delegate, all right, as men. That's why you hear the apostles say, if you want, all right, or there's at least one video like, hey, you share this video with your wives if you want, okay, but. I personally don't have a problem with it too much, but again, it's, but the main thing, men have spirits on them, all right, that women can gravitate to, so she's supposed to be watching your videos pretty much only, all right. Every once in a while, if there's a video you want to see, you can show it if it's another brother. You're not going off from that, but you shouldn't, you can just watch both of us. No, not really supposed to be, because again, we carry spirits, and brothers, that's why, and then they start jumping, and then they, you're not supposed to do that. Now, if you have a man that's not in this truth, I'm pretty sure that you're allowed to watch lessons still, all right, because that's how you're getting instruction and edified, all right. But a brother can correct me in the comment boards if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure, like 90% sure, that's the case. You can still watch them because you still need to be edified, right? But ideally, your man would start teaching. If he doesn't, and he's not in this truth or whatever, pretty sure that you can just watch lessons. That's, because how else are you going to, get the understanding? You can't break down the scriptures yourself, all right, as a woman. It's not, he has departed her, deprived her of wisdom, all right? So a woman cannot get the scriptures like a man can get the scriptures, which, again, is why a woman should not be teaching, okay? So, if you want, and if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in the church. So, and that's not to say that a woman can't ask a question, but really it shouldn't be happening on a live stream. And if anything, it should be in a decent and orderly comment on a comment board, all right? And, and it basically they'll get to it if they get to it, right? The brother or apostle or elder will get to it if they get to it, right? So, yeah, man, you just gotta, it's just one of those things. It's not for you to do, all right? It's not for you to do. So, bear with me, I'll grab another drink. So, but yeah, man, you women aren't supposed to be teaching, all right? And going back to the church, where two or more are gathered, I am in the midst of them, roughly paraphrasing. So, that's church. Where two are gathered, that's church, okay? Or more gathered, that's church, all right? So, And not only just two or more, but when brothers, singularly are making a live stream or a a video on demand, a VOD, right, where you just watch a pre-recorded video, then that is essentially it's really a church service. All right, that is a church. That the church is there. All right, because really they might not be there in person. All right, but really you have people on the comment boards or people watching the video. So that's essentially church. Okay, and the service being had is scripture going out. So that's a church service, technically, by definition. We don't say that because we don't like saying church, all right? But that is because when you say church, people think of the Christian church, but or just church in general, Catholic church or church, all right? But church is where two or more are gathered, okay? That's church. So, you gotta be orderly, okay? You got to be orderly. Even the brothers, the elders, and like I said, I'm not a part of GMS, but that's who I learned from. So I hold the same standards, all right? And apostle, if a woman comes and has a question, all right, personally, I don't mind. That's fine, all right? Just make it decent or same with men. Make sure it's in order. And then, but for women, they don't need to be, you do not post scriptures, all right? You're not allowed to. And then on top of that, you're not supposed to just be jabbing it up on the comment board, right? If you want to, sometimes they drop a heart. Some of them drop kissy face emojis. That's fine and all, as long as, you don't have a man or nothing. All right, because then you shouldn't be doing that at all, for sure. You can say shalom or however. Sometimes drop an emoji. I'm just saying what I've seen. A heart emoji, a kissy face emoji. Sometimes they say shalom. Sometimes they, Yahweh Shem Yahushai Barakatam. That's fine and all, but you don't need to be just having a tea party in the comments, talking, just rambling. All right, like sometimes you'll see the men doing, all right, having a catch up, and it's not really on the comment board to do that anyway, but sometimes you'll see us post a thought about something. Really, it's not something for women to do. We just have different standards, man, and I get it. It's hard to be a woman, but it's even harder to be a man. So and I know that's gonna get a bunch of people's panties in a bunch. All right, but it's true. All right, y'all don't got to worry about making lessons. Y'all don't got to worry about a lot of stuff that men have to worry about. All right, being a rock to a woman, you don't have to worry about that. All right, being a provider and a lot, you don't have to worry about those things. You women, in a lot of ways, have it easy. You got some shit that's hard. All right, you do have some things that are hard. You got to be careful where you go, because some of these crazy men of the world snatch you up. All right, you do have to worry about that. There's other things you got to worry about, but even in the world, you have it easy, man. All right. If you get, not that you should, especially in this truth, especially, you shouldn't be fucking up, but I don't know, you do something, say they try to say you stole because you forgot a pack of ice under your cart, they're going to go less harsh on a woman than they will a man, okay? They'll be like, oh, you must have forgot. Man, are you sure you forgot? You really sure? I don't know, right? And even if they did convict you, a woman would get a lesser sentence, all right? If you decided to leave, you would get the kid, not the man. Right? You guys got it easy in a lot of ways. Okay? So, hey, man, just be blessed with what you got. I know we ain't got much here in Babylon, but, we do have our, we do have our benefits still. All right? As being in this truth. As long as you're doing the right thing. The Lord helps out his people, so. But we don't have to worry about going to jail or not usually. Unless they threw us in because of this truth. Because we're not out there doing dumb shit. Right? So 2 Timothy 2:11, it says, let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived. But the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Again, a weaker vessel. So you can't have someone so easily persuaded teaching. All right. That's not what that means, sister. Okay, I guess it's not what it means then. It actually does mean what you're saying. I guess it does mean what I was saying. No, see, can't have that. All right. You need someone strong-willed, strong-minded. Okay. That's not willing to give. So let's get the same scriptures, all right, and the Good News Bible, the Good News Translation, it says, women should learn in silence and all humility. I do not allow them to teach or to have authority over men. They must keep quiet. For Adam was created first and then Eve, And it was not Adam who was deceived, but it was the woman who was deceived and broke Yahweh's law. Right? And, well, that was really the law. Was, hey, that was pretty much the law at the time was, hey, don't go around that tree. All right? Don't go around that tree. All right? And so, they say it was an apple, but it wasn't an apple. All right? They said, hey, don't go over here. And she went over there. Okay? And the fruit is, really the ideologies of the world now. All right? So, the sickening mindset of what people would call freedom. Okay? And, leave it to Eve. All right? To want that. So, and hey, man, and that's why you're in the position that you're in now. That's why you have pain during childbirth, man. So, know that. Let me go and get 1 Corinthians 14:34 in the Good News Translation. All right. And this reads, we read it earlier before we got the last scripture, but I wanted to get this in the Good News Translation as well, just to go along with it. It says, the women should keep quiet in the meetings. They are not allowed to speak, as the Jewish law says. They must, as the law, they could just say as the law says. They must not be in charge. If they want to find out about something, they should ask their husbands at home. It is a disgraceful thing for a woman to speak in church. So you're not supposed to be doing it. Well, why is it like that? Well, we didn't make the rule. Okay? We didn't make the rule. Don't get mad at us. All right? Really, you're mad at the Lord. All right? If they hated you, it's because they hated me first. Don't get mad at us. Don't kill the messenger. You ever heard that saying? Don't kill the messenger? All right? We didn't make the rules. We enforce them. Okay? I didn't make the rules. I enforce them. All right? But on the opposite, at work, they say, oh, I don't agree with the rules. I enforce them. No, we agree with the rules over here. All right? But we didn't make them. We just enforced them. All right? That's it. All right? If you come and try to be orderly, we'll enforce those rules. All right? We're not going to try to force those rules on someone who's not in this truth. All right? So, don't you know you're supposed to, here it is. There's this hoe, and don't you know you're only supposed to be bound to one man? And then they don't give a shit. Okay? They don't give a shit. Let's get Titus 2. 3-5. Yeah, okay. So Titus 2 and 3. We'll actually go from 1. Titus 1 and... No, Salakia. Titus 2 and 1. It says, but speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith and charity and patience. 3, the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of Yahweh be not blasphemed. So there you go. So that's your job as a woman as far as teaching goes. Okay, you're not teaching the scriptures like that as a part of a congregation of people. No, you can teach the young women, all right, how to be sober, how to be a good wife, all right, and what to do with children and keep it at home, right? And might even in a light level discuss scriptures with them, and this is the scripture that refers to that, sister, and you got to go and do this and this and this, and this is how you do this and this and that. So that's what you teach. You don't teach a ministry, so to speak. That's not what you're doing. You're not running a ministry, all right, as a woman. That's not something you should be doing, all right, at least. Because some of them do that. You shouldn't be doing that, but some of them do that when they shouldn't be. But yeah, man. And then finally, we're going to get 1 Corinthians 14:40, and then we're going to close out. Which I believe I already roughly paraphrased this earlier, but this is where we're closing out with 1 Corinthians 14:40, as you can see. Let all things be done decently and in order. What does that mean? All right, what does that mean? Let's see if we can get that in the Good News Translation. All right, everything must be done in a proper and orderly way. Can't get much more simple than that. All right, so if you're doing something, you got to do it the right way. All right, and teaching as a woman is not the right way. All right, you're not supposed to be doing that as a woman. A woman is not to be a teacher. All right, women are not to be teaching. That's the lesson. Just a little shorter one today. Lord one was edifying. Like I said, I've been seeing a lot of it. I believe it was yesterday. I was sitting at my computer, and another one of those Yah Israelites came across. I was also watching a lesson with Elder Manata Zappa. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. And in the Witch, I think it was today I was watching that, going on TikTok. And in the Witch, there was a Yah Israelite, all right, teaching a female. All right, again, so I've been seeing a lot of it. I see a lot of it. A lot of it's these male and female duos now. It'll be like a woman and she'll have her man teaching with her. All right, and that's completely going off. All right, you men should have had that on lock, but you don't know the scriptures because you're just as blind as a bat. All right, but women, all right, you're not to be teaching. All right, it's not to be bullying or picking on you. It's because it's scriptural. All right, don't take it up with us. Take it up with the Lord. He's the one that made the rule. All right, and we agree with the rule. Okay, you shouldn't be teaching. All right, because a lot of these women, when you see them teach, they're just horrible breakdowns. Horrible. It's atrocious. It's awful. All right. Another scripture is we read it, but I suffer not a woman to teach. I suffer not a woman to teach. That means if a woman was teaching, you'd have to suffer through it. Okay, because you really do have to suffer through it because it's bad. All right, they just don't have it. All right, the spirit isn't working with them to teach like that. Okay, so you women are not to be teaching. All right, final straw. That's it. All right, no ifs, ands, or buts. So we're gonna close out there. Lord, one was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKakbadash. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing. Shalom.